Men and gentle ladies, the current date is June 16th, 2012. And this is the KNKL show. I am your friendly host, Kienan Lafferty, here to guide you on a journey today as we go into a tutorial on creating fire. We're going to be drawing fire today. But before we get into that, we have to go through the usual. This is the Twitter page for those of you who have not subscribed to it yet. Is that what you do? Follow on Twitter. I do not talk about things like how I'm eating donuts or buying corn nuts at the gas station, but I do post when I am recording new videos and when I upload them to YouTube. Also, Facebook. Now this is awesome. Thank you so much for everyone who is continuing to submit their beautiful works of art. It just makes me tear up every time I look here. All these awesome artists, not only submitting things, but also talking to each other and helping each other out. Seriously, I feel like a proud parent every time I come here. I'm like, you guys are so awesome. So once again, thank you guys so much for submitting your great artwork. It leaves me in awe every time I come here. And continue to do so. So, with all that out of the way, we will be moving into our tutorial on making fire. Making fire! This will come in handy for those of you who are creating like zombie comics and just need in general to draw things on fire. So here is a very easy way that I have come up with to help aid you in your journey for discovering fire. So the first thing you're going to want to do is create a new document, right? Make sure your background is a little bit darker, like on the dark gray side. The reason I do this is because when you're working with like a light source, if you make its surroundings darker, it will make it look or appear as if it is more glowy, more filled with light and energy, and we love that. So we'll kind of start with like a wisp, or let's pretend like this is kind of like a hillside or whatever, right? Just the general shape of the fire, right? And then we're going to start pulling up these little kind of flyaway thingies. Oh, and by the way, the brush I'm using is just the soft brush in the default settings. Same one as usual with the pen pressure and other dynamics on. Or shape dynamics and other dynamics on. So, soft brush. And we are just going to create a general shape, right? Kind of pull these things up. Pull those up like that. It's a little bit of like a comic booky kind of I usually like to render my fire a little bit more on the graphic side. Kind of create that general shape of what you want, okay? And then what you can do is you can go back in with the eraser, make sure you have the same kind of like soft brush on, and oh, did I do this again? Painted on the wrong layer. Dang it. Dang it. Starting over. Alright. Let's go again. Let's do it again. I just made that up. Hope you guys like it. Alright, so fire. More fire. And speaking of fire and energy and parties, we need to organize our next dance party, which is coming up very soon, to celebrate just being back and doing the show again. Because I miss you guys and I love doing this. Today is a very busy day for me, however, because I need to not only get texts from my friends, but hang on one sec. Not only get texts from my friends, but I also need to go get my car washed today and iron my clothes and do things that a normal adult who's focused on cleanliness would be doing. So, okay, that's a good general start. Move that baby down a little bit. Okay, so there is the beginnings of our fire. Just kind of erase in here a little bit. Oh, that's why it wasn't working. There we go. Now, we move on to our lighter colors. So next thing we're going to do is go to like a very saturated orange. Okay? Like this. And what we're going to do is you're going to begin painting in the oranges. Okay? Like this. Let's kind of get a little bit of it in there. Okay? Don't be afraid to kind of like make little wispy things or like little like I just kind of like flick the brush around a little bit just to kind of like give it a little bit of texture, some little dots and stuff, because later on you'll be working with this and you'll just kind of blend it together. It's looking good. Now, as you progress to the yellows, what you're going to be doing is you're going to be going up towards the brightness, but you're also going to be desaturating it. And that will give you a very realistic fire look. So go ahead and throw in just a little bit of this yellow, just in like the hot spots. Think of where the fire is like most concentrated, where it's going to be the hottest, and that's where you'll throw in the yellows. That. And again, see how I'm just kind of like flicking up little lines here and like adding in little like embers and stuff. And I like to mix in, like, when you make the soft brush smaller, it will give you a harder edge. And I like to kind of go in and like define a few of these like little shapes to give it kind of a cross between like a comic book style fire and like a realistic fire. Like you can see, I'm mostly just working with these bottom edges here. And then this would be what would be attached to the hillside or the zombie's back or whatever, you know, whatever is on fire. And once you got a general foundation down, once you have laid the initial foundation, what you're going to be doing is going in and alt-clicking, much like our blending tutorial. So you're going to alt-click that orange and just kind of like start throwing in and defining a few of these shapes and kind of cleaning it up. Usually I like to push this orange as close to the red as possible, you know? And also what I'll do is I'll grab the red and I'll actually kind of kick it back into the orange like this. And what that's going to do is create like little hollow spots, you know, in the fire. I think of like these little like air pockets that kind of like exist within it, like in here. And that'll make look really cool. It'll make it look really awesome. I'll throw that in. And another way you can do this to create the air pockets is actually just go back in and erase a little bit of it. And that'll reveal a little bit of like the gray background or whatever is behind it, and it'll look really nice. Texture. A lot of this is texture. There we go. Alright, so that's looking pretty good. A bit more of that in there. Okay, so now that we have like a little bit of that going on, a little bit of our texture going on, now what I like to do is I'll go in and kind of grab like a mid, kind of like between orange and red, and I'll start putting in like the little embers that are kind of coming up from the fire. Alright? Drawing a few of those. And a cool way to kind of represent, to use the pen pressure to your advantage, what I like to do is when you flick, like when you press down and then you flick downwards, see, that makes it look like it's moving, you know? Like that. Oh, whoop. Not quite like that. But you can draw it in and then like erase it, you know? So that's what I like to do for these embers. To make it look like they're moving, you draw the dot and then you flick where it's coming from. Like where is this one coming from? There, you know? And that will give it the impression that it is moving. And you can go back in and erase like the ends of it if they go too long. This comes down to like a very precise, small and precise movements here. And you should be pushing lightly too, because if you just push hard the whole way through, it'll look like that, you know. So the point is you push hard at the start, and then you just kind of flick it at the end, like that. There you go. And then another thing I like to do is the embers are hottest at the tip, right? So you go back in and add in little yellow dots to the tips of each of these embers. Or just a few of them. Doesn't have to be all of them. Strategically place them. I'll come back in and just add a few more in here. Define a few more of these shapes here. I think a big thing is like making like these wisps, like these lines that go through it. I think that's a big thing that makes fire look really cool, as opposed to just having just like one clean shape, like as opposed to like laying down like this, right? Like this is the initial shape of the fire. Then you have, you know, orange and then yellow, right? Like see, those are three very clean shapes, but really what kind of pushes it to that more realistic look is wisping it and creating like these little pockets of red in between here and like small little bits of, you know, see like yellow and orange over there. And then of course the dots. So that's pretty much it for me. So once you're happy with the general feel of your fire, make sure it's looking nice and wispy and awesome looking. Once you're happy with that, we move into something that I like to call bloom. We are going to bloom this fire and make it look very hot and very glowy, because it looks cool as it is right now, right? But we want to make this thing look like it's really glowing, make it look really hot. So what we're going to do is we're going to create a new layer over top of it. We're going to set it to hard light, right? Then what I want you to do is grab, let's see. Let's go kind of like a midway, like red-orange. Let's go right about there, right? And then what you're going to do is you are going to use this in your hot spots. So like here, and watch what this does. It's going to create a red glow around it. Like that, see? It's going to make it look very glowy and very hot. And then you go back in with like the same thing, kind of like the orangies. The orangey colors, and hit the hot spots with that. Go all the way to like this desaturated yellow, and just pick out a few areas that you want to be your hottest spots in there. And don't be afraid to like make it really like a huge brush and just like kind of dot it, you know, like that. Because see what that does is it creates that glow, and it looks really awesome. And then what you can do from that point is, if you want, say, like usually when I'm working with the pictures in League of Legends, when I'm working with the splash arts, we usually try to stay away from, because see, it's like really primary yellow and then really like primary red. So in order to like reduce that, you can hit Control U on the bloom layer and tone down the saturation of it, right? Like that. And then you can also do the same thing on the fire. You can tone down the saturation of the fire. See, and that will give you like a desaturated fire, but it still looks really glowy. So you can kind of fine tune what kind of style you're looking for. And yeah, that's pretty much it. See, this is more of the style that we would use in League de Leyendos. Except we probably make this just a little bit more saturated in there. See? So you can kind of fine tune it to get what you want. Yes, I like it! I like it. And then, of course, you can go back in and trim away any extra, like, bloom. You saw how, like, down here, it's like these yellows, and those look a little awkward just being there. So you can go back in and get rid of those. So, yes, that, ladies and gentlemen, is how you create Crossfire, Crossfire. And, yeah, I'm not going to do the high note. But yes, I am. Crossfire! Oh, okay, never mind. We're done with that. So, that concludes our tutorial for this week. Man, what a lovely Saturday this is, what this has been. So, a quick question to the audience. Question I had for you guys was, during the time when we were out of the facility and we were not able to upload the usual tutorial every week, I kind of did these little like update videos where I was like at the dentist or or just like anywhere. Like I was at the office most of the time. But like, what do you guys think about having just like maybe once a week? It'll be like an update video of me just out doing something. Like it could be me out washing my car today, or me going to get groceries. And would you guys enjoy seeing that part of my life, or would that be really lame and stupid? And be like, no, you only do tutorials on Saturday when I expect them to be there. Yeah, so please let me know if that would be a cool idea and you guys would enjoy something like that. And if you would, then yeah, I will consider doing it. So, yeah, with all of that out of the way, yeah, thank you guys for tuning in to another weekly edition of the KNKL Show. My name is Kienan Lafferty. Thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. I will see you guys next week. Take care and have a good Saturday.